If you've ever watched wedding films before, you've probably noticed that there's some you just like more than others. And like most people, you've probably wondered what actually makes a wedding film good. After working as a wedding videographer for 7 years, I'd like to think that maybe I know how to make a good wedding video. And there's a lot to it. But I will say this, like all forms of media and creative industries, everything is kind of subjective. There's not really such things as good or bad wedding videos. Some people like slow, romantic, intimate wedding films with small weddings. Other people love really happy, upbeat, super exciting wedding films. Like I said, it's all different, it's all subjective. It doesn't necessarily always classify into good or bad. But regardless of style, there are a few things that I think make a wedding video exceptional and stand out among the rest. Number one is that a good wedding film should be story-driven. This simple fact changed my entire business and the way I shoot my films. A few years back, once I had really settled down into my role as a wedding videographer, I started noticing that my films didn't feel like they were standing out amongst the crowd. So I would watch a lot of other wedding films from big names in the industry, and I would notice that I would enjoy those so much more than I enjoyed mine. But I really wondered why. What's the factor there that I'm missing? And I eventually came to the conclusion that it was just story. My wedding films at the time, while I loved the way they looked, it was really what I would call like a glorified music video. It was just really pretty shots set over really pretty music, and that was about it. Which is great if that's just what you're wanting, but I really wanted to take that extra step and find what would make my film stand out. And that was story. So I changed my entire business model from start to finish. The way I interacted with my clients was totally different. I started from the beginning of just really digging down into their story. Even in those beginning stages of the consultation call, I would just get them to tell me their full story, and I would ask questions and really dig deep into what their story was. Where could that translate over into the film? How can I make something that really tells their story in a way that's unique to them and also is just engaging to a stranger watching it? And I'd like to believe that it changed the quality of my wedding films forever. And then there's number two. This one may be a little more technical, but it's absolutely necessary because a good wedding film should have quality audio. There's nothing more distracting than bad audio. You can have an amazing looking video, but if you have someone talking and you're hearing scratchy, fuzzy audio, you're immediately gonna think that this is not a high quality film. It would almost be better if the visual quality was a little lower and the audio quality was excellent, and you would perceive that film as much higher quality than if you had that scratchy audio. And it's not just the quality audio, it's the amount of audio you get. So one thing I change is that I mic everyone that can possibly be mic'd. Anyone that's gonna say something important, I make sure there's a mic on them and that we can hear them clearly. Things like speeches, letter readings, vows, the officiant at the ceremony, and even just moments like the first look. The audio in those matters so much. So I make sure I'm micing everyone and also that the quality of that audio is excellent. That level of audio quality is a complete game changer for any wedding film. I can't tell you how many times I've had couples come to me afterwards and tell me how important certain audio moments were in their wedding film that they would have never had a chance to listen to and would have never heard it if I hadn't captured it the day of. That's why that audio is so important, not just to the quality of the film, but to the couple. And lastly, number three, this one seems like a no-brainer, but a film should have a professional and quality feel to it. Once I changed my wedding films to where they were more story-driven and they captured excellent audio, the next step that I realized could really take my films to another level was just that attention to detail. And this spans all over every single thing that the wedding videographer does, from the way they film their shots to the way they edit. I never want shots to feel unintentionally shaky. I never want my colors or skin tones to feel off or wrong. And I just simply never want any aspect of the film to feel rushed. After all, this film is a legacy. It's something the couple is going to watch for years and years and years to come. And so I want it to be as timeless as possible by paying attention to every single little detail of the film. And this attention to detail helps me to make sure that my couples are happy from the very first moment they watch their film. So like I said in the beginning, everything in this industry is subjective. I don't have any expectations that every single person is going to prefer my style of films over someone else's. That's just not possible. But as long as the films that I'm putting out there are work that I truly believe is good and that my couples value, then I know that I'm on the right path. And lastly, real quick, I'd love to leave you with an example of a recent wedding film where I really felt like I was hitting those 3 points in the best way possible. And this is with Braden and Trace's wedding film. During my very first call with Braden, she was telling me about the story of her and Trace. And she told me the story of how they met in elementary school. And then in junior high, they actually dated and became boyfriend-girlfriend for just one day before Trace's mom made them break up because she didn't allow him to have a girlfriend at that age. Then turn around 10 years later, and they actually end up dating again, and this time it sticks and they get married. The story was super unique, and I knew right off the bat, this has to be a part of their film. We have to find a way to tell this. And luckily that worked out. In the rehearsal dinner speeches, pretty much everyone told some version of that story. I was able to go into the edit of that film and use all these different perspectives of how this story played out and make it into a film that was just really fun and told their story in a super unique way.
I met Bea in the 6th grade, and she had the cutest little buck teeth, but I thought she looked beautiful. So I asked her out in about 7th grade. We dated for a day.
So little did I know, when my sweet little 12-year-old Brayden came home from her first day of middle school and told me that she had a boyfriend, and he was so cute, and his name was Trace, that it would be her future husband. Of course, she came home a couple days later. She told me that he broke up with her because his mom said that he couldn't have a girlfriend anymore.
So I broke up with her the next day after I asked her out. Ever since then, I've been collaborating this plan to get back together with her 10 years later. And I would say that my plan worked pretty well, right?
So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for today, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. And if you're in need of a wedding videographer, I'd love for you to get in touch. Thanks, y'all.